evening once again, everyone.
Good evening.
Welcome to Blue Sky Citadel. And we are in the software testing session, mainly the class. Tonight, I will be your tutor, and my name is Olayemi Ayola. Easier way, you could call me Yemi Ayola. And with me today, I've got other colleagues, Rita and the team. They would also be helping me answer various questions while I'm lecturing. So, a few background about me. So, as I've said, my name initially, I've been in testing for over a decade and a half. Lovely journey. Still happy to be doing my job. And currently, I work as a senior test lead in an insurance organization. Poof, that's me. So, for tonight's class, we will I believe every one of us on this ground, joining now, we are we are part of the QA team for the internship in Blue Sky. So I welcome you all on board. As long as you are going to do testing, automation, manual, this is going to be your first training session. Without me moving forward or saying anything more, we are in the manual testing class. After the manual session, then various classes, then you move to automation. We'll talk about that when it comes there. So that's me. For tonight, these are my planned topics. We'll be talking about background of testing. We'll be talking about different roles in software testing. We'll be talking about the objectives. What are the objectives of testing? The fourth thing tonight will be general testing principles. Fundamental test process will be our next topic. And those are the things that we'll have question and answer. Don't be afraid. Anything you see in this class is just take it that you will get there, that you will understand properly. But I can tell you at the end of this class today, you would really be looking forward to other classes. So I welcome you on board once again. So that takes us to the very first one, background. So, like some minute ago, maybe 30 seconds, 1 minute ago, when I formally introduced myself, I said about my background, just view, and also where I work. I just told you about my background. In as much as I didn't go in details, the kind of tools I've used, various things that will elongate it. But the background about Yemi, part of it was said initially. Now, let me bring you back to testing. Background. We want to know the background of testing. So you want to understand who testing is. Hence, the issue of this background. If you have to do anything in life generally, you need to understand what you actually want to do. So let's take the word background out first. Let's use the word testing. 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 Pause. Before I go further, I love to tell people that while in this class, I know as I'll be testing, you will have various questions. Just for us, so that the video won't be too long, so you can rewatch at any time, I would implore you to please, all questions that you have, just drop it in the chat. One, the team on ground will be answering your question. Likewise, we will go back at the end of the session to take the question and answer, and I will read through it. So just drop your questions there. The other thing I need from you, two things before the class, is that please, I just need your full concentration for some time, maybe like an hour and a half or an hour predominantly. your full concentration. And please, maybe if you want to jot, just scribble things out, though you can go back to the video, but if you want to jot. So two things I expect you to always bring in your class. Have your laptop, have your pen and paper to yourself, ready to work. We won't be taking your time at all. We will always go straight to the point. So let's bring it back. Testing. I was talking about testing because I'm trying to explain the background of testing. So, testing. What is testing? English word, testing. Naturally, if I ask any one of you on the platform, you would know, you will understand to say testing. Oh, what is testing?
Hello, Yemi. Sorry, please. I had to call you back. The timing on the breakout room is showing less than 5 minutes. So that's why I sent a text so that it won't be the one said by the other lady. So it doesn't take everybody back to the main room.
Ooh.
Sorry, it's not 5 minutes. It's okay. It's 4 hours actually.
Okay. Sorry about that.
Thank you for alerting me. Thank you. So that's the background. So now let's bring that background testing. We want to understand the word testing. So if I ask any one of you on the team to say, what is the meaning of testing? English word. You could go into the dictionary, check it. Testing naturally will be just checking to see if something is working. Anything you want to use is working. So the way I always love to do this background is take you first to the main world, our everyday activity, then bring you back into testing. So let's go back. Drop this background, the testing now. Let's go into our normal activity. Take an example. I asked you now that for you to be in my class, ensure that you have maybe your pen and paper. I know I can tell you out of the number of us, 80% of us that are here, before you start using that pen, you will quickly test that pen and scribble it on your own. Is it working so that I have it working down? So, what exactly you are doing at that moment is that you're testing if that pen is working before you start using it. Because you don't want to, by the time you start jotting, that pen is not working and you want to test it. That's part of our everyday work. Now take another example. Every time when you want to have your bath in the morning or any time of the day, maybe you want room temperature for your water or you want it hot or warm. The first thing you want to do is to balance the water in terms of checking the temperature. Do I want it warm? Do I want it a bit hot? You are trying to weigh the exact measure you want that water the water you want to use to have your bath. What you are doing at that time is that you are testing to know the exact temperature you need for the water. Now, what is the question like? If I don't check that water temperature, now I want to bath. I don't want to take hot boiling water and pour it on my body. What if I take that? There are repercussions. One, I get burnt. We take things like that. So those consequences, you don't want it. Hence, you learn to test. The same thing if you want to drink water, do you want it cold or hot? Same thing with your tea. So what we are doing at that moment is that you are testing to know the exact temperature of water that you want. Now, you might say, oh no, I don't do any testing. If you cook naturally, anytime you cook, even if you're given a plate of food, the first thing you want to, when you take the first spoon, oh, this is lovely. It's got the right quantity of spice. You can actually, from testing that the food, you can say all the ingredients used to cook that food. What you are doing at that moment is that you are testing your senses: taste, smell, see. All these are things that we do every time, every day, every moment. So now, to you, testing is part of us. Is everyday activity, every moment, every time. You might argue out again to say, when you sleep and you wake up in the morning, before you everyone stretch, you stretch your hand, stretch your leg. All you are doing at that moment too, you're also testing. So that's mainly like what entails testing. Now, bring it to our own part of the world, the IT world. You'll be looking at, I've been saying everything about testing, how things are done in our everyday life. You want to know how it is going to work on the field. So, how it works is the same, but entirely the same way you are testing to check is what you as a tester want to do at your job. You have various, it depends on the organization you're working with. If they are developing website, you'll be testing the website. If you are developing maybe any application, a mobile application, you will be testing the mobile application. So all that is the way testing is incorporated in IT world. There are various organizations. But one thing I always say is that there is nothing new under the sun. So everything you want to test, if you get an application today, there's something that can help you. If you maybe it's a website, if they tell you a one-page website application, if you go online, just type it there. You will have 1001 examples that you can actually emulate, that you can adopt to actually be able to test, create your test cases. To be honest, if you're in this class, if you're in this internship, I'm not saying it because I'm training you, but you're in good hands. We've got experts, experienced, and trained professionals here. Is hands on. And please, while you are in this internship, if you don't do anything, make sure you are hands on. What do I mean? Do your work. 2 hours, 3 hours daily will actually help you get your next role in few months, few weeks. So don't give your work. If you don't know anything, ask any question while we are here with you. Nobody is going to complain. Nobody should laugh or nobody should say anything. And we all have come here to learn. I can learn from you. You can learn from me. So I'm training you here. Doesn't mean I know everything, but I'm expert in what. So if we all are here to help you, I don't want you to feel shy to ask about any question. That takes me to my next example of the background in test. This is the example. So I always love to use a car. The reason is that if you want to book for a car, let's say in a showroom, you have ordered to go and get a car, any brand of car of your choice. When you get there, you don't want to get to the showroom and see a car that is scratched. You will definitely not want to buy it. We are moved by what we see. So you won't want to. And also, when you get to the showroom, in your own, you would have had a lot of things that you are thinking. You might have a car previously, but you want something new in the car. You want something interesting, exciting in the new car. So those are the things you're going for. So you want to get to the showroom, you want to test drive the car. The first thing you want to see the car, clean, sparkling, and shining car. You want to ensure that it's got, if it's a 5 door you've booked, it must have a 5 door. If it's a 5 wheel, it must have various components, wheels, brake, and the likes. So these are things that you're expecting to see in the car when you get to the showroom. Now, when you get there, if you get there and they tell you this is the car you are going to get, and the car doesn't have any door, you wouldn't want to buy it. Definitely. You will not want to get that car. So that's literally the background that has to do with testing. Furthermore, there are various examples that we have. So, also, before I go further, there are various textbooks and things that can help you out. But because you're within the internship, we have a soft copy of the software testing textbook. It's very good. So you can actually use that soft copy. If you need it, just send a message to the admin. You will definitely get it. Even before now, I'm sure they will put it on your platform. Then you can actually download the textbook and read more. There are various examples, how airplanes, finance, any examples that you can look through. So this tells us a brief overview about background of testing. Not to forget, any question, pop it in the chat. Now, that takes us to different roles in software testing. You might be asking, what exactly is my role as a software tester? So, a role is just a name to a particular job, just a job description. Understand me? Now, to be honest with you, I, as a tester, I've worked as an agile tester, an automation tester, a QE, quality engineer, a QA, quality assurance. I've worked as a manual tester. So it depends on the role that the organization is. But bear in mind that you, as a manual tester, you, as a software tester, you, as an automation tester, our goal is to test the application, get the bugs, make sure it's fit before it gets to the public. You'll get there. So let's say I've said one, quality assurance. These are various roles. So you might, when you want to do your application now, you'll be wondering that, oh no, what can I do? So when you are searching, don't just search for manual testing only. No, there are various roles that is manual automation all together. So you can't be, as you're a manual tester, you're also called a quality assurance engineer. You're also called a UAT tester. What is UAT? User acceptance tester. That is UAT. You are also called a test analyst. To be honest, I don't like people calling me tester. No, 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 I don't like that name. I like to, when you're professional about your job, when you're happy about what you do, you call yourself good names. I'm a test analyst. I'm a quality engineer. Call that big name. You see, Prime Minister, President. No, you need to call that name. Be happy with what you're doing. So the next one is manual tester. Anyway, yeah, you're a manual tester, web tester. You can say web test analyst, a manual test analyst. Use those words. A QA test analyst, quality assurance test analyst. We call them functional testers. We are also called software test analysts. We are also called agile testers. All these names are things now, not to forget automation tester. As I've said, in most places, if you have even gone, maybe you've joined a platform, you've done something before, to be honest, nobody offers both manual testing in depth and automation in depth like we do here in Blue Sky. I tell you, you're in the right hands. I keep saying it. Well done. So all these are the different roles we have in software testing. There are more. We have some that are called pen testers. So they are penetration test analysts. We have security test analysts. We have a lot of them. So as long as it entails testing, please be bold and go for the role. So that is us about software, our next place, which is software tester skills. So you might be asking that what exactly do I need to be, what knowledge do I need? These are the skills you need. As long as you can test, as long as you know what is right, as long as you can follow set of rules, and that is what you need. The major thing is you need here is testing skills, which you are going to be trained. In fact, by the end of this session, you would have an example to say you understand. So testing is the major thing that you need. The next thing you need is, of course, you're a software tester, system. All this will come as part of this skill. And all these skills that you see, test planning, SQL automation, product, all these Microsoft Windows, web, all these are things that you have in this internship. So you are going to enjoy all these skills while you're here. Please, again, while you are here, we are using the latest tools. Latest tools. I'll implore you all to please try your best, play around with those tools. That Azure DevOps you see is what we use currently. That's the market thing application that most organizations are using now. Please and please play with it, understand it, know the in and out of it, so that when you go for interview, you can just talk mainly on that tool. That's fine. So these are the software testing skills that you need. So now that takes me to, you'll be asking, I looked at it around today and I said, okay, let's take it to what are the salary expectation. So the salary expectation, if you look at it till 2024, in fact, I looked at it to today, while doing this is when I got this stuff. So if you look variously, if you look at it, dual mall start from 2017, you can see it's been on and off. Look at the orange line. There, those orange line is just telling you that that's the medium level, medium that you can take as your salary yardstick. You can see. And I always say it at the end of this lecture, if you are hands-on, making sure you have your 2 hours, 3 hours daily, committing it, working with the team, understanding. I tell you, most of the time, you get this, at least a starting one. It depends on how you negotiate. You get from your 60s, you get 50s. Forget there are 80, there's 100. 120, I can tell you very, very well. I am sure these figures are right. So these are the salary expectation you can see. So for you, at the end of this lecture, at the end of this, I'm expecting you as a manual and automation tester to be honest. You can't price yourself low. So you are going to get something good, at least your 50s, 60s. Those are the things we are expecting. And fingers crossed, once you do your due diligence, work hard, you get to that stage. So these are the salary expectation. You can go online, you can search and just look at it. What are the salary expectation? I'm taking this figure. This is from UK for for United Kingdom, I mean for US, Canada, various countries. Theirs is, it depends. It's even more. So it depends on what negotiation you have at that time. So that takes us to our next one, which is what takes you as a good software tester. A good software tester. So everything I've been saying since, let's put it aside. If you're in this class and you can't at least explain, you can tell us step by step how to check if the room temperature of water is okay for you. Just in little sentence we can understand. You can write, written, verbal communication. If you have that skill, you are in the right class. You are in the right class. If you have a passion for anything you are doing, you are in the right class. The technical skills is coming to in this class. The analytical skills is also coming in this class. So if you know you have eye for detail, you are in the right class. If you know you love to check to make sure things are done properly, to be honest, if you have that attitude that, oh, ensure that things are done the right way, you are in the right class. So, what are the skills that make you a good software tester? Written and verbal communication. I want to cook a pot of rice. Ingredient: rice, water, pot, fire. First, put the pot on fire, pour water. 2, wash the rice. 3, pour the water in. Simple steps. Then you're in the right class. Can I explain to people that when I tasted the rice, it was too salty? If you can tell people that when I taste the rice, it's salty, then you have good verbal skill. Ensure you can communicate, you can tell this is what I can see. You can retrace the step and give it to them. You are in the right skill. Then it means you have a good software skill. If you have a good passion, and I believe that for you to enroll for a QA training, then it means you have the passion. That's why you're in this class. Also, the technical skills are things that is coming online where you have automation, you're going to use SQL, using all those, the tools, Azure DevOps, the tools you're using. Analytical skills, looking at what you have. How can you analyze them? From this, these are the things, the bugs are found. These are how it is. This is the way we prioritize this. Those skills, your attitude towards things. Anything you're doing, you must have a good attitude towards it. Then your productivity. So your productivity here, my 2 hours daily, I want to achieve something. That is your productivity. You want to ensure that every skill, all these things that you have in you, you put it here. So when I use this example most often is that you will go for various interviews. You might, when you get to an interview, first when I'm going, before I enter, I try to look around me, understand what is around me. Reason is that you might get to a place where you have pitched, I've said my speech, my 5-minute speech about myself, what I do, and I've made it known. And I've put it there that I pay attention to details. Now you are coming into the interview room. You said you pay attention to details. You don't know the room number you are entering. You did not see that. You did all those little details really matters when it comes to we as testers. So bear in mind that attention to details, thinking out of the box. So think even 5 steps before them. That to say, oh, this is to use this application, this is what is expected. Password, when they say, oh, login, what are the password? What are the major characteristics of the password that we need? 8 characters minimum. So you can start asking those questions. Can we use special characters? Can we use numbers? Can we use just things to just, you need to think, because you as a tester, your duty is to represent the users. So Yemi, as a tester in my organization, I am working for the public. So I'm the public now in my organization before the application goes out. So you want to be sure you've done your proper testing and before others come in to use it. Though we have various levels, which we are going to discuss for. So that's the skills of good software tester. So that takes us to our objective today. What is our objective today? So today we'll be talking about what is testing. I've been saying this all through. Why is testing necessary? Just general principles of testing, fundamentals of testing. Then I'll give you my own self-assessment. Just questions, few from what we have learned today. So please pay attention. I want to know people that are paying attention to details. So that takes us to the first one, testing. Oh, testing, testing. She's been saying all about testing since. Yeah, I mean, what is it about testing? So now that takes me to testing. This is an activity that is performed to demonstrate that something is working as expected. That is it. That is what it means. That something is working as expected. Let's take an example. You have used your pen. The pen I asked you, you scribbled it on your paper. What exactly are you doing? You're trying to check if it's working as expected. That's it. You put the water, the boiling water, while you're checking the room temperature. What you're doing is that you are checking if that temperature is good and is actually doing the right thing, because there are consequences if you don't test properly, which we are going to talk about. So have it at the back of your mind. When they talk about testing, it is an activity that is performed to demonstrate that something is working as expected. That is what testing means. So that takes us that everyone is looking. Is really testing for me? Is it for me? You are thinking in your mind, oh no, is it for me? Yes. Let's watch and see. The question is still rolling in your mind. Am I sure I'm in this right class? Yes, you are. Testing is not rocket science. Let's find out. So that goes to who can test? Who can test? From everything I've been saying, anybody can test. As long as you can check the temperature of the water, you can test. As long as you know what is right and wrong, you can test. As long as you know that when you check that your pen is not working, you can test. So anybody can test. So I always use this because, of course, most of us from the science background, that's a testing tube. So testing is not rocket science. Anyone can test. So don't be afraid. You're in the right hands. Welcome to the class. So what can be tested? That's the next thing. You'll be asking that what exactly can be tested? What can be tested? So when you're asking that what can be tested, what can be tested? Various things can be tested. So the two things that can be tested here are hardware and software. Hardware. What is hardware? Hardware are physical devices, something you can touch and see, e.g., a laptop. So, example is a laptop. So, the next one is software, something you cannot see, e.g., internet browser, games. So, these are the two things that can be tested: hardware or software. Hardware, physical devices, something you can touch or and see. Example is a laptop. Then the next thing is software, something you cannot touch or see, e.g., internet browser, games. You can see these are two. Always note all this down because attention to detail is key. So that takes us to our next thing. How can a software be tested? How can it be tested? You ask yourself that. Yes, so now you've been talking about testing. How exactly can this be tested? It can be tested manually. So, manual testing. Testers execute test cases without any tools. So you as a software tester, remember, if you want to start counting money, just know that the number of test cases, bugs, that's defects that you find, that's how your money will come. So that's the way we count it. Manual testing. Testers execute test cases without, we don't use any tool to execute the test cases. Automated testing. A tester executes test cases with a tool. Those tools are what you're going to learn during the internship. So, which means you'll be using your Visual Studio, Selenium WebDrive, or it depends on the programming language you're using. If it's either Java or C#, so that determines the types of libraries you're going to use. So the way softwares can be tested, manual or automated, two ways. So, software testing. I've been talking about it since, so we need a good definition of it. What is software testing? It doesn't still change. It's still the same thing. Testing, software testing is a discipline. It's a name of a role. You are still a tester. You are still a test analyst. You are still testing. So this is an activity that's expected to demonstrate that a software, what are the software? A mobile application, a package, a website, any product is working as expected. Just that things are working as expected. In your mind, you'll be asking me that. I'm sure you are thinking that, how will I know that things are working as expected? Don't worry. You will be given rules. You'll be given requirements. You'll be given requirements are also code specification. In this place, because we are using Agile, we are going to be giving user story. So your user stories, you would all this how to know what to write in your test cases will be written there, but you will now derive them by doing it. So those are the way you are going to know whether this application is working as expected. Software is not complex. Software testing, it is not complex at all. It is, I told you, anybody can test. It is not difficult to implement, execute, and practice. Software testing is a discipline. It's a discipline. It's just like the different roles that I've given you. Is a role, is a name of a role. That's what it means. So these are the major key points for software testing. That takes us to our next activity. Why do we test? You know, you'll be wondering that all these things I'm mentioning, why exactly do we need to test? We need to test because there are various things you don't want to happen. Consequences if this thing happens. Let's take an example. If you get to that showroom where we used a car as our background, an example, and you take a car out, and that car, the brake is not good. Do you know what will happen if someone takes that kind of car out? It could lead to injury. In fact, it could lead to death. So those are the consequences that you are seeing. That's the reason we need to test properly. So, for instance, you've got a pen. If that pen is not writing, how do you? Maybe you're in an exam, and that pen is not writing. How do you want to continue the examination? So those are that's the reason we need to test properly so that we don't encounter some consequences when it comes to it. So, one, to avoid software failure, we need to test properly. Two, a system needs to be tested adequately. And the right sort of testing needs to be done. We will explain to you. There are various types of testing. How things are going to be done, step by step, you would understand it. So it needs to be tested adequately tested to ensure that the right sort of testing, where you are going to do your regression, retesting, where you need smoke test, functional testing, non-functional testing, all those things are the kind of types of testing that we're going to discuss in this internship. Consequences. So if you don't test properly, if you do not test properly, these are the consequences: loss of money, loss of business, loss of time, loss of business reputation, injury, and death. I told you an example of the car. So for example, if you go online, you want to shop in maybe any of the stores, and you find out that the application is quite complex. You can't even get your way around it. You won't want to waste more time on it, and you will just want to leave. So they've lost a customer that way. You won't introduce people to them. You won't. They won't be able to get the money from get your own money from whatever you are going to buy from them. So all those things are the things that we look at when it comes to some of the consequences. The car is not good. It's got scratches. It's done. It's not. So you will lose business reputation. If someone dies or an injury, you won't want to tell other people to go there and go and buy cars. No, it's not possible. So there is a level of risk acceptance for any software. So there are various software. So it depends on how we test them. The way you are going to test an airline application, is quite different from the way you're going to test a financial application, an e-commerce application. E-commerce, I'm buying this, I'm buying that, I'm doing that. At the end of it, you don't want to make sure that when one person finish paying, his details is all over and others can actually hack and use his details to buy a lot of things at the shop. You don't want that. So you want to be sure. So same thing with financial applications, same thing with airlines. So it depends. There are various testing you do when it comes to each of these softwares or application in general. So it takes us to these three brothers. So these three brothers, we've got error, defect, failure. Just take it that they are three in one. One starts before the other, then it leads to the last. They are all the same. They are one. So this is first one, we take error. What is error? Error. The English word, we all understand. Error is a mistake. And an error, it will lead to a defect. That defect will now cause an observed failure. So you see, the way I've started, error is the first person that happens. Then it passed the baton to his next brother on the race, which is defect. Then defect will now pass the baton to failure and now say, now this thing has failed. We can't continue. You have to fix it. That's what it means. So now you are working on something, you see a mistake. From that mistake, it's a defect. That defect is a failure on the application. That's the way the three of them works. You'll understand it better. So what is error? An error is a human mistake. An error appears not only due to the logical mistake in the code made by the developer. Anyone in the team can make mistake during the phase of software development. So it's human mistake. You know, I said human mistake. So anybody can make that mistake. It might not be a code thing. It could just be, for example, it could be, before I make this example now, is note in an IT team or in an agile team, there are various roles, various type of people that it's not only testers that are in a team. We have a project manager, we have scrum masters, we have data analysts, that's a DA, we have a BA, which is a business analyst, we have developers, we have QAs, you and I, we have solution architects. They did the design, they bring them out and tell us. So all these people make a team and comprises a team. We all work hand in hand. You as a tester, you cannot work alone if an application is not built. So we all work. So remember, your team comprises of a project manager, a scrum master. Some don't, it might not be either or. But we have people that maybe you've got a delivery manager. So it depends. So it depends on the organization. Some have a data analyst, most especially when you work in an insurance environment, financial environment, talk about asset management organization. All these organizations will definitely require a data analyst. Likewise, some other places. So I'm saying this solution architect, they design, they do the build, design all the integration of the application by it all, put it in a document, bring it out, walk every one of us through. Now we've got the business analyst and the project manager. They work hand in hand. We also have a product owner. Product owner and business analyst, they intertwine, work together. So they get the knowledge from the client. So let's take an example that client A wants a web application to be developed for him. We all will not be in the loop. So the people that will be interrogating client A, getting all the information, writing all the necessary requirements that they need will be the business analyst. The product owner is the owner of the product. He has the bigger knowledge. This is how I want the application to look like. So they get all the information. Now the business analyst will now come and interpret that information that he has gotten, share it with us. Now that comes to the error, human mistake. If the business analyst does not understand properly, whatever it brings to us, we all too we will do the wrong thing because we are feeding on the knowledge, on the information that they've given us. So that is why before you start doing anything, read through it, ask your question do a static testing. We're going to discuss about that in further class. So those are things. So now, error is human mistake. An error appears not only due to logical mistake in the code made by the developer. Anyone in the team can make mistake during the different phase of software. For instance, it could be examples of error. It could be the BA, maybe he or she misinterprets the requirement, as I've said. It could be the client. They might not have insufficient or incorrect information. It could be the architect, solution architect, maybe the flow or the solution design. It could be any one of us in the team. You, myself, maybe one of us is saying there are timelines. It could be the developer, anyone. So these are examples of errors. So that takes us to the next person, which is defect. So you see that human mistake has happened. Now he's taking that baton as he's running the race. He has given it to defect. So now we want to talk about defect. Who is defect? Defect is inconsistency between expected and actual results. Write down. Everybody jot this down. Expected and actual results. When they are lecturing you, there are two words that they'll be coming as twin. They work hand in hand. They are twins. So this twin is now expected actual results. Why? All through your career, even most anywhere, There's always an expected and actual result. This is my expectation. This is what I am saying. Now, you as a tester, when you are developing your scripts, you will always have an expected and actual result. Please note these two guys. These two, note them. Expected and actual. Just quickly, what is expected? Expected. You have been given requirement by the business analyst. So he has said that when you log in into Blue Sky Citadel website, I want to see color blue in the Blue Sky logo. He has given you an instruction. Now you are writing your test cases. On the logging into Blue Sky Citadel website, on the right side, check the Blue Sky icon, ensure is blue color. That is your expectation from what the business analyst has given you. Now, that is what you use in designing. You have not seen Blue Sky application at all. Now, you are now giving Blue Sky application. You want to test what you have written down. You log in into Blue Sky application. You look at it. On your right side, you have seen the Blue Sky icon logo. Whatever you are doing at that moment, it means actual is what you are saying exactly. You now have the application, is what I am working on. So that is what will determine a pass or a fail. So expected, this is my expectation from what I was given. Actual is what I am seeing now. I'm now running that test case. So by the time you look at it, maybe that Blue Sky icon is, by the time you log in, is not blue. Maybe it's reddish black. Immediately, you know is what? It's a bug. It's an error. It's a defect. So that is it. So remember, expected and actual result. Then a defect in a software product reflects the inability of the software to comply with the specified requirements subsequently, prevents the software application from performing the expected work. That is the definition of a defect. The inability of the software to comply with the specified requirements from the business analyst. She has said that the client wants it to be blue. It has to be blue. Attention to details. So those are things that you need to. So those are in as much as you get to where you know critical bug, major bugs, all those are coming in. So an error that the tester finds is known as a defect. You see now, Yemi has found an error. It is known as a defect. Some people call it, I call a bug, we call it a bug. When you hear faults are used, but you know, these ones are, in this generation now, we use bugs, defect, we use fault, we use failures. So those are the names that you can use. So an error that a tester finds is known as a defect. The defect is also known as fault or bug. So failure is the consequences of a defect. Is the consequences of a defect. So failure is anything that has happened. The error that the tester finds is a defect, and that defect is a failure because that application cannot do what it's expected to do. It's not working as expected. It is the observable incorrect behavior of the system. Failure occurs when the software fails to perform in the real environment. Looking at before the lecture, if most of you joined the initial room before the breakout when they were looking at how the Azure DevOps were asking that you should log in and join the team, the Azure DevOps team. If you look, I think one of you actually displayed theirs that she was trying to create a project, and I could remember that Moji was saying something like that URL is wrong because you can see it's creating personal project. That is not the real environment. So the real environment is the one that has blue sky. So that's the real environment that Azure DevOps will work in. It will not work. You won't be able to use the link of this team in any other environment. So hence, that is where the real environment is. So real environment is just that you'll be shared a particular endpoint. What do I call endpoint? URL www.this https this. So that is your endpoint. That is your URL. That is your environment. So at every stage, you have it /dev/test/UAT. When there is no slash or there's nothing, then it is live. So those are the way you know the environment. So in other words, after the creation and execution of software codes, if the system does not perform as expected due to the occurrence of any defect, then it's termed as failure. So that's what it means. Not all defect will result in a failure. There are some that will be hidden in the code. So it will just be inactive in the code. So it may not be noticed. So don't forget, it's always interview questions: error, defect, failure, expected actual results. Error, defect, failure. Error that a tester finds leads to a defect. Defect leads to failure. So that takes us to keeping software under control. What does this mean? So keeping software under control. So we have exhaustive testing of complex system is not possible. So what does this mean? You can't think that because you have been doing all possible tests, going all around, doing it, it doesn't mean that you can say that that application is error-free. Let's take an example. I like a one page, maybe just give you a content on one page, and there are a lot of bugs. First, it was given to maybe someone first. It was given to KG to read first. He or she reads it and look at it, got maybe like 10 to 50 bugs out of it. So if KG reads it again the second time, you find out that it will be limited. At the third time, because it's a one page, she's used to it. Her eyes will just keep everything. She'll just feel, no, there's no bug there, there's nothing here. That's it. Now, take the same paper, the same sheet, the first one, give it to another person. And when you give it to the person and say, okay, tester B, take the same content that KG has looked at. Tester B brings up another 20 bugs because that's a fresh eye. He's saying it. So same thing, subsequently tester C, tester D. You would see at a point, because we all are looking at it from a different view. When you keep reading at a particular point, you'll find out that you won't find any error there. So that doesn't mean that there is no error. If we stopped at KG's intuition to say, oh, she has found 50 bugs, there's no more error, that's a fallacy. You can't say that. It means take it back to the tester B. She found another error. So, which means we are not secured. It means tester C, there's every possibility that he or she is going to be. So, exhaustive testing of is not, you can't say, I have finished testing this all complex application. What we always do is we try to prioritize how does prioritization works. You look for the critical ones first. Let's take an example. I'll go to my screen quickly. So don't unmute. What I just need for you on this is to tell me the answers to some of this. So would I see my chart? So anyway, what I want to say is that let's take an example. If you were asked to test a car, a car, a car, the car has various components, and we want to prioritize. The risky ones are the ones we are going to test first. Can you tell me what are the first ones that we're going to prioritize? Just type it on the chat. Let me see. Okay, just tell me. Let me see. I want to be saying it on the chat. Just tell me what's the first one. Where's this fun? I can't see. Someone said engine. Who else? I can't. Let me go further down to be sure. Fine. Engine. Well done. Someone. Well done. Who said brake? Fantastic. KG. Well done. Temitope engine. Well done, guys. So brakes. Fantastic brakes. If I ask you that, what's the reason for the brake? You will tell me because if the brake is not working, it's loss of life. Most of you went, of course, tires too. It must have good wheels. Well done. Well done. So yes. So this gives me that you all understand what it means to prioritize. Those are the ways we look for the critical ones first, we go for them, test them properly. So that because there are timelines that we need to meet, we can't just say we are testing and testing and testing, we are there. No, it's not possible. So that's why we say exhaustive testing of complex application is not possible. We need to prioritize, we set our priorities. So if every test has to be run, testing will go on for a long time and product may never get into the market. Take an example. I use cars because we have various models. Let's even use a mobile phone. We have various mobile phones. If let's take iPhones as an example. We are, I think we are on iPhone 15 now. If we had sat down on iPhone 14, no, maybe iPhone 13, you as a tester, you've been testing iPhone 13. Oh, there are bugs. I can't release that phone because if you release it, it might not be proper testing. How will iPhone 14 and 15 come out? It won't come out because you've delayed. So what we do is you have to test, prioritize, we'll bring it out, come in, release it, bring iPhone 14, bring iPhone 15. So these are, if not, we'll just be testing iPhone 13 since maybe 2020. We'll be testing iPhone 13 till 2024 that we are in now, 4 years. So we have lost a lot of versions that are meant to come out of the iPhone. So that would have taken a longer time. Market product, people that are waiting for new ones to come out, they can. So hence, testing will just take forever. It is possible to turn every possible test, simple or complex system. So if you are testing, you look at the complexity of the application. That's what leads you to, but ensure your major key point, prioritize. Prioritize. With larger complex system, it will never be possible to test everything exhaustively. In fact, it is impossible. It is impossible. You can't beat your chest to say that, oh, I've tested this brake. This car can never have an accident. It's impossible. Or you can't beat your chest to say, I've tested this phone. If you throw it on the floor, it will never break. It will never get spoiled. It's impossible. So there are ways and there are things that could happen. So that's the reason we keep software under control, prioritizing our test, ensuring things are proper. When is testing enough? Now, I've talked about exhaustive testing. It will take longer time if we keep testing iPhone 13 or we keep testing a particular thing for a long time. But there are things we look at when we want to say enough is enough. When is this? Look at these words. Always, when you are testing, have it at the back of your mind. When you are testing to check the risk. That's why we are saying testing and risk. So when you are testing, you are looking at the risk. You were testing the car. Most of you were looking at the engine. You were looking at the brakes, the tires. So all those things, you'll be looking at it when you're testing. When you're beating the risk, testing, that's fine. Likewise, when you're testing, you start testing, looking at the testing and quality. What is testing? The quality. Is this good enough? Is it fit for the public? Is it user friendly? Is it simple to use? All those questions, you need to look at it. Are we giving them the right product? Is this the expectation? Those are the. Then when you do those two, then you can now start deciding in your heart that, okay, this is time to say enough is enough. So if you know you've tested the risk, you've gotten a great passion, you've looked at the testing and the risk, you've looked at testing and the quality, then you can now admit to say enough is enough. That takes us to this particular side. We're getting there. General testing principles. We have 7 of them. General testing principles. Please, 7 of them. So, first one, testing shows the presence of God. Will you all agree with me? Everything we have been saying here, if you don't test, you will not know that the pen is not writing. So you won't find a bug. So the reason why we are testing, the reason why we are testers, the reason why we are looking at the application or the packages or the software is to identify the bugs. Testing shows the presence of bug. Exhaustive testing is impossible. I've told you, you can't. It's impossible. You can't do it. So you can't beat your chest. You have to prioritize. Early testing. What is early testing? You are starting as everyone is starting. We all start in a kickoff meeting together, understand the requirement, ask my questions, get an understanding of the project, know exactly where testing lies, what we are going to do. So we start testing early, right from static testing, looking at the requirements. Do we understand the requirements? Are they ambiguous? Do we understand it? BA, what do you understand by this user story? This user story is not clear. You have said it. Have you written the acceptance criteria for the user story? Can you add more points to it? Those questions should be asked. So that's why early testing, we want to catch the bug before it gets out, before it gets to a place where it is. Let's take an example. If you want to um, use the room temperature water. You want to have your bath with a warm water. If you check early and you know that the water, you tested it and, oh, this is warm enough, it won't hurt the body, the better for us. If it's too hot, then you can add more water. So that once you add more water, you get a balance of whatever you want. Because reason is that as you have tested it earlier, you have gotten to know the balance of the water. You have gotten that bug immediately. If we move further and you did not test it properly and you make the water too hot and I pour the water or the person pours the water on the body and he burns it, it's higher consequences because now we need to take the person to the hospital. We need to start treating for burns. We need to start healing process. So those things is now difficult to fix because you're not spending more money. So the earlier we catch the bug, the earlier we raise the bugs, the earlier you see the bugs, the better for us. So defect clustering, where exactly are these defects? Where exactly are they clustered? Where are we getting those a lot of bugs coming in? That is what defect clustering is preaching about. These are principles. These are steps that we are expected to follow to have as a principle when you are testing. You must have it, always put it at the back of your mind when you are testing. To be honest, why I get so anxious when I'm teaching this background of testing is that there are a lot of things. Everything that makes you as a tester is in this background. To be honest with you, most of those things are what you're going to be using, are going to be saying all through when all through your manual phase and also automation. They all come in all through your career. You'll be meeting this. I still use all the steps even while working. So defect, where exactly do you have the defect? Is it at the login section? Is it when you look for the set? You need to know exactly where these things, where the defects are being clustered. So those are the then pesticide paradox. So what does this mean? It means that I gave you an example that when I gave you a sheet of paper to read, I gave it to KG. She brought 50 bucks. I gave it Tester B. Tester B brought 20. So it doesn't mean that because KG have gone through that test, that page, he has gone through that page severally. It doesn't mean that that test that she's running is correct. Reason is that after KG has tested, when we gave it to tester B, he also found 20. So it doesn't mean she has gone through it 3, 4, 5 times. And when another person picked up the same paper, he or she was able to get more bugs out of it. So pesticide paradox is telling you that it doesn't mean because you are repeating the same particular test that it is the correct thing, is working as expected. No, it doesn't. It's not preaching that. It's telling you that even if you have repeated that test, there's every possibility that there is still an error. There is still bugs. There are still failures in it. Then testing is context dependent. What does this mean? If you have to test, you need to put something in to get an, you must do an input to get an output. You have a pen, you must have a pen and paper. If you don't have a pen, you won't know how, if that pen is working or not. So you put an input, he gives you an output. That's testing is context dependent. You must use something. So absence of error fallacy. So I've said that you can't beat your chest to say there are no bugs again. It's a fallacy. So remember, general testing principle, 7 of them. 1, testing shows the presence of bug. Exactly. Exhaustive testing is impossible. 2, early testing, defect clustering. We are talking about the pesticide paradox. We are talking about testing. Testing is context dependent. And lastly, absence of error fallacy. Those are the 7 general testing principles. Now, interesting part, fundamental test process. Please, you guys, in this thing too, please, in this internship, when you are doing your tasks, these are the way to organize how your tasks will be done. So we have 5 of this test process, and I'm going to be explaining them to you. Number 1, test planning and control. Now, listen to me. These are also brothers. They work hand in hand. Test planning and control. I'm planning. I'm also planning how to control it. Let's take a building. I know some people, you know about construction, you know about how houses are being built. Let's take the way houses are being built. A normal ground. So we have the normal ground. So the first thing, as just leave this fundamental test process. So for the house, you have a land. So when you have a land, we have people that will go into the land. So those are um, the plan and to look at it. What exactly can this land, one plot of land do? Okay, we want to build a duplex on it. Okay, they start planning. How do we want the duplex? What are the controls that we're going to put in measures? How is this going to be done? How is the foundation generally? So that's the way a house starts from the scratch, from the land. So that's the way that land is. We are still looking. So the planning committee has gone there. So he is going to surveyor. They will look at it. This is what we want to build on this one plot of land. Let's stop there. That's the first phase. Now let's bring it to fundamental test process. Now we as testers, the first thing we to do, we have to do our test planning and control. We are bringing it to the basis. So first, planning and control. This entails what exactly are we going to do? We have said we are working on Project Blue Sky. On Project Blue Sky, these are the expectation. We have done a kickoff meeting. We have that. We need to start designing our test plan, our test strategy. We need to know who is going to do this, everything incorporated into the test plan. So those are the things that we are. We also are getting the planning, the way the surveyors are going around. The two duplex is going to be like this, is going to be. So the same thing. What are we going to do in Project Blue Sky? Who are the resources? What are the types of testing we are going to do? What are the environments we're going to use? Who are our major key stakeholders here? So all these we need to get those information and put them out there. So that's where our test planning and control comes in. So that's the major level there, first level. Now let's take it to the next one: test analysis and design. Stop here again. Let me go to the house that we're building. The surveyor has looked at it, he has come through and this. So now he needs to bring the designers in to say, tell me, what are we going to do? This is how I want it. I want you to design it. Then 4-bedroom house. It must have the pool on the top of the roof. The roof must be like this. The ground. He's given all the description he wants. So he's only said it. So the 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 design person will go and draft it by drawing what he's expecting to see. So that takes us to we as testers. Come back now to we as testers. The next stage after test planning and control is test analysis and design. What are the test analysis and design? So now you have done your test planning, all the control, you've taken the requirement, you have looked at your user story. Now you want to start designing. So you want to start writing, looking at what you have in your test cases. What are the test conditions you want to have? So there are test conditions. Okay, the user story in the Blue Sky, we want it to have students, lecturers, and we also want it to have a shopping cart so that when people pick their course, they can drill down. Those expectations. That's it. So you want to start analyzing them. Alongside, you want to be designing them. What way are you designing them? You start writing, thinking of your test cases. Start bringing the designs out. So you are designing your test cases. Now, question, please. Anytime when you're talking about test cases, you'll be asking me that I said, oh, designing test cases. We don't say writing. I know you are going to type it. I know you are going to write it. Don't use it. You know, I told you professionally, you want to ensure that what you're doing is a professional way of doing things. If you go to all the jobs that you're doing, we have professionals in them. They will tell you this is what I'm doing. By the time you look at it, you say, is it the same job that you're thinking of? The same thing you two want to do. Don't say you're writing, don't make it look so cheap. I'm designing my test script. Then we all understand. We know you are writing it, but we know you are a professional in it. You're telling us you are designing your test script. I am writing it. It's the same way. Click this, click that. That's what it means. So now that takes us to the next person, which is test, implementation, and execution. Now, let's go back to the house we were building. The designer has done everything. He has brought in you to say, this is what it is. Then they start building, putting the blocks, bringing everything, putting the rooftop as expected. So they start doing it. Now drop those people outside there. Let's come to the testing world. Test, implementation, and execution. How does it happen for us? Now, you have started designing. Your implementation phase is when you are writing, when you are designing, when you have put all those test scripts, you have put them you've designed everything is on Azure DevOps. Then you have a phase of execution. What is execution? You want to run those test cases. You want to run them RUN. You want to run those test cases. So you're executing it. Now, if you have written, let's say, 10 test cases, please and please, we don't use numbers in testing. We use percentage. So when you have run 10 test cases, it's professional to say you have run 100, you have 100%, you've run 10 test cases. Let's say 8 of them passed, 1 failed, 1 you are blocked. We are interested in the pass rate and the ones that left. So you could say 80% of the test passed. Me, by my calculation, is 100%. We all know it's 100%. There's no thing like 200. It's 100% we all work with. So I know 20% of them has failed. So your test manager will understand. So in a nutshell, let me quickly answer that question. So if for instance, you are running 5 tests and 2 of them passed, 2 failed, and 1 is blocked, how will you do the ratio? Can you put it in the chat, please? 2 passed, 2 failed, 1 blocked. Someone help me, let me see. Are you typing? So what's the percentage like? 5 test cases. You have written 5 test cases. 2 passed. Let me see. I didn't see you said 2 passed, 2 failed, 1 blocked. Give it to me in percentage. I said we don't do it in numbers. You don't do it in numbers. That's why I said. So it has to be in percentage. So how many percentage passed now? Let me see. Oh, this is not my screen. So, no, who said 25? It's not 25. Fantastic. 40, 40, 20. Correct. So it's not 25 because 5 of them is 20, 20, 20, 20. That makes it 100. 2 pass, 20 plus 20 is 40%. 2 failed, 20 plus 20, 40%. 1 block, 20%. Absolutely. Well done. So 40 failed, correct. I agree. Davis, yeah, fantastic. Let me see who are those coming in again. So that I've seen. So that's it. So remember, you give us your test result. If I come to you as a lead or as your test manager, I can tell me what have you finished your execution? Oh yes, 70% of them passed. So I don't want to know the numbers, but to be honest, most of the time we check the numbers of test cases. But in terms of execution rate, because you're sharing it to the wider board, is better off and professional in percentage. So that's the way it is. So then the 4th one is evaluating exit criteria, and reporting. Exit criteria and reporting. So another twin that you must all write down. Exit entry criteria and exit criteria. Entry criteria and exit criteria. Entry, exit. Entry, exit. Entry as ENTRY. So entry, I want to enter. So entry means in testing, it means you want to start. I want to enter. I want to start testing. That is entry. Exit means I want to stop testing. Stop testing. So remember these two guys, entry, exit. Don't forget, I gave you one initially, expected actual result. So those are the two. So now, and evaluating exit criteria and reporting. So what does this mean? So this means that when you are doing, when you finished your test implementation and execution, you've executed all the test cases, you want to now know, you have to do a report because you are getting to the point of testing. You've tested because while doing the implementation and execution, you found bugs. They are fixing. You are retesting. You are doing your regression. All these have been playing up in your on your third phase. Now, in the evaluating exit criteria and reporting, this time around, you want to do the to give us to say, okay, you want to do the analysis. What exactly have you done? What is the percentage that passed? What is blocked? You want to report it, feed it back to the team, to all the stakeholders. Let's look at it. Let's know what you've achieved. Everyone wants to see it. So those are the ways. So you need to evaluate the exit criteria. Now we are about to stop testing. This is what I have done, executed. We have 100% of these test cases. This is it. This is where the defect density is. So that's where mainly the defect clustering. So you can do the defect density. What are the open bugs? What are the ones that have been closed? All those necessary things are the things you want to put into this exit criteria. So once you do the reporting, then we will now decide what exactly. Everyone look at it. Okay, are all the bugs and all the test cases that are prioritized, the critical ones, have they been done? Have they been tested? So those are the yardstick that we look at when we want to say we have finished testing. After this is done, we now do the final phase, which is test closure activity. What does this mean? We have finished. Now, you as a tester, I as Olayem, I want to now look at these are what I have done. Am I happy with it? If I'm happy with it, I stamp it to say, from testing point of view, this is it. It's been done in this environment. Give them my summary and give them my breakdown. I always have a way of presentation, do it in a PowerPoint, put my findings and this and that. Then I can sign off. Now, if I'm not happy, if most of the critical bugs are not fixed and they are not done, to be honest, I would not sign off. Now, the sign off will now lie in between the project manager or the product owner, whosoever is going to adopt or carry the box, whatsoever is going to be done. But of course, I would have said that this is the reason why I'm not signing off. I'll give us information to ensure that definitely people have a clarity or an understanding of what exactly is wrong that I said I don't want to sign off. So those are determinant when it comes to this. Now, you might ask me that why do I say that this is key process? Most of the time, it's good to adopt this fundamental test process. I'm not preaching that you should use it, but it makes you as a tester understand. People understand that you know your process and procedure when it comes to test processing and procedures. Now, if I want to start, even currently, I'm saying anywhere, this is how I follow my route. Test planning, I control. I'll put my tax for test plan, test strategy if I need one, and any other document in terms of training. If I need to do any training to understand, it falls under this tax. So I make this tax as a story. I put my other tax under it. That is my first one. The second one, I go to my analysis and design. On this phase, I have various user stories that I'm looking at. I'm giving you people clue now so that you won't say you don't. I want to make sure you understand it. You're using this process, adopt this process. It makes you more organized. In your test analysis and design, now you have I as tester A in a team, tester B and C and D are in a team. I'm giving 4 user story. I bring my own user story to say, design script for user story A, design script for user story B, design script for user story C. So that's my own tax. Tester B does the same thing so that you will have a visibility of what you all are designing. Now bring it to the test phase. This test phase will be a story to say test implementation and execution. Executing user story A, user story 1, executing user story 2, executing design and executing user story 4. Those are the things. It will come under this tax. Now, evaluating exit criteria. Now, you want to tell them what happens in this exit criteria. In this number 3, I always want people to put both execution and daily report. Let me tell you the reason is that once an execution phase starts, you must keep your team in the loop every day. I've executed the story. You must bring a document out. So in this phase, I will say execution and daily report of user story 1. So everything will comprise of it in this phase, every daily. Then this other one, evaluating exit criteria and reporting. At this phase, you can put a normal summary of what it is, your exit criteria, test summary report, put it there. Then that will be a tactic, and your final test will be test closure report. So you put your test closure report in this final phase. Please learn to adopt this test process. It makes you more organized and it makes people understand that you know exactly what you are doing. That is it. Finally, we talk about the psychology of testing. So, a variety of different people may be involved in the total testing effort, and and may be drawn, and they may be drawn from a broad set of backgrounds. Some might be developers who will drag a lot of people in, professional testers like you and I. Some will be specialists. You're good in this. You know the application in and out. You will be brought in. Such as those with performance testing skill, while others may be users drafted in to assist with acceptance testing. So that is it for tonight. Thank you all for your time and listening. So we have the Q&A session. You can now ask me your question. You can stop recording if you want to. So that ends my class for tonight. Question and answer. Question time. Let me first go to the chat. So in the chat, let me see if I've missed. Please, if anyone is there, you will take the questions and answer. I'm not going to, I will be out, but I'm here to stand by. So let me see. I put data. Nope. So, any question? If you have a question, raise your hand. I can answer you. Any question? Any question? Any question? If you don't want to raise up your hand, you can type any question.
I think David's hand is up. David's hand is up.
Okay, correct.
David, go ahead.
Yeah,
So, David,
yeah, thank you for the intro. So my question, actually, I would have waited to bring it up like maybe last, but since no one is raising hand, my question is just born out of curiosity. This software testing process, like I've had some friends tell me they have software testers in organization where they work. Like one of my friends that works in one law firm, he say they have software testers in their company. And then you have just said you work for an insurance firm. So I'm just wondering, I was thinking software testers basically will be in software development companies or organizations. So in all these other organizations that are not into software development, what is the role of software testers in those places?
okay. Thank you so much, Davis. Very good question. Well done. And that's why I said, any question you're happy to. Fantastic. So let me bring everything out as a whole. In each organization, there are various departments in all the organization. You've got the HR, you've got the finance, you've got claims, you've got welfare, you've got IT. So you've got different one. You might work in a law firm as a software tester. There are applications that they have there that they use in that organization that they sell to clients. They are developed by the IT team. That's why we are part and members of the IT. So that's their own IT session where software testers. So before those application comes out, before the softwares, before anything they're using, even the documents can be tested by software testers, and that's where your static testing comes. So it might be to read, to evaluate those documents. Let's take, for example, energy companies. So you'll be asking me, in energy company, electricity, what exactly are software testers there? I can give you an example. So, when they send you letters home to tell you that you are owing, this is your electricity for this month, and they've calculated it. Someone needs to read that template, needs to understand that template, test that template, that the right things are pulling out. So before that template, before you can roll off that letter, that is an application. The letter is not just written with hand, it's from the system. So it's someone that will test that system, it's someone that will test that letter. Are you seeing? So if someone writes a letter, maybe gets to post office, you might look, what does post office need IT for? Yes, it's the post office that will record the address. They need to know exactly where it is. Those systems that are doing those things are being tested before they come and do those things. So before that system will tell you that address A is this location, it must have been tested in-house. So it's not tester or a software tester, it's not that it's specific to a particular organization. Is in all organization. Give me one job. There is no job that you don't have a tester, that you don't have an IT team. And once you have an IT or you have a team in an organization, testing must commence. So is where there is law firm, exactly, they need more testers because they need to go to each of the book to check each of the acts, validate that everything are always up to date. And when you are doing some search while they want to meet a client or answer any go to any for any judgment or anything, they need to bring out the specific areas. You don't want to go for maybe someone has got a particular judgment to be done, and maybe is burglary. You are bringing someone that has done a different, committed different crime to do that. No, you want to ensure that you have necessary materials that will actually justify that. How can that be done? A tester must have tested that if it is burglary, these are the acts that follows burglary. If it is crime of murder, these are the acts that follows it. So those are testing things that happens. Do you understand where I'm coming from now, David? So there is no organization. There are different things that happen. In financial organization, I can tell you that all the monies paid out. Give you an example. If you are going to a bank, every one of us they go there, we withdraw money from ATM, we do everything. Someone have to, if it's not tested properly, if I go to ATM A and I withdraw £10, I go to ATM B, I return £10, and it's not recorded correctly, the bank is at a loss. I might be getting 200 and the bank is short of 200. So it must be tested properly that if Yemi puts a card and take it, then it should be recorded against my account. All those testing are the kind of things. So each organization must have an IT, and they will be able to test. Talk about science. Look, for example, the likes of the pandemic that we had. In pandemic, forgetting COVID period, there are different tests that were done before we started having vaccines. So those tests have to be done. You won't say because it's medicals, we won't test. You understand where I'm coming from now, Davis.
Yes.
Has
Quite
that
clear.
answered your question?
Beyond. You went beyond. Yeah, thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. That's good. Thank you for that question. Please pop in your question. But before you ask your question, my own question now. My question, let me quickly bring up my chart. I know this class. So if you get it, you get lollies. All those people that get the question, just raise up just once you know it, just unmute, you get lollies. I'll be giving you lollies. So what can be tested? What can be tested? Go for it.
Everything.
What can be tested? David, what can be tested?
Everything that needs to be used need to be put to test first.
Let me see. Let me see. No. Fantastic.
I think
I will tell you. No. Who is talking? David's right.
Samuel, okay.
Samuel, what do you want to say?
I want to say hardware and softwares can be tested.
How can they be tested? So
web pages can be tested through using some maybe the API testing applications and testing. I don't know. I'm just saying.
I don't understand.
Can we clarify the question a bit more? Because I think you've asked about 3 questions in one.
Okay, let's go back.
Just need anything can be tested. So far, we are testing for the functionality.
Correct. Anything can be tested. So let's go back. Let me show you what I mean here. So what can be tested? Can you all see now? What can be tested? Can you see my screen? Hello? Hello?
Yes,
Oh.
yes.
Yeah,
Can you see
that's,
my
that's
screen?
right. We was right, man.
Huh?
We were right in the chat. We said hardware.
Yeah, I
No,
said hardware and software.
which chat am I looking at? I didn't see anybody write anything.
I put software
Yeah, I
and
put
web
hardware
page.
and software. Yeah.
I even mentioned hardware and software.
Where is?
Scroll up.
Okay, that's fine. You mentioned the book. What I'm seeing, maybe no. Anything
Up.
can be.
Look
Where?
up. It says software, hardware.
Right. Don't worry, my eye. Okay, I've seen it now. I've seen it. That's Emmanuel. Well done. Well done. So who is raising up their hands again? Well done. Who is raising up their hand? Tope.
I equally mentioned hardware and software.
I already put it on
Fantastic.
the chat where I put
Okay,
software and
that's
web page.
good. So that's good. So well done, everyone. So how can it be tested?
Through manual and automation testing.
Fantastic. Who said so? Who said so? Simone. Okay, you have 5 lollies. I'll give you 5 lollies. So yes. Samuel, Temitope, David, you have 2 lollies. So you're right. So let's go again. Remind me, general testing principle. We have 4 of them. True or false?
5.
False. It's
General
testing
principles. We
There's
have 4
7.
of them.
We have
2
7 of them.
Who said 7?
False.
Who said 7?
Simone.
Who said 7?
Samuel.
Samuel. 10 lollies. Please help me send him that 10 lollies.
Don't worry, I don't need your address. So I noticed there are quite 3 heavy towels. So I've taken them out. So yeah.
So
it's halfway dry. So I've taken out the heavy towel. So if the clothes get dry, we can put. Yeah, so I've put the mops of their wash. Then Matthew's few clothes. Matthew's sent clothes.
Can you be muted?
Taken out of washer. Yeah.
Busoye, can you be muted? Thank you.
Sorry.
Thank you. So okay. So that's fantastic. 7. So if we say 7, please, who will start with the first one? Who can start? Just mention the ones you know.
Showing the presence of bugs.
Fantastic. Take 2 lollies.
Impossible.
Take 2 lollies. Good.
Early testing.
Number 2.
Exhaustive testing is impossible.
Correct. Omi.
Early testing.
So you 2 take 2.
Early
testing. You said 1. How many lollies do you want to have? You said 1.
I said early testing.
Early testing. Fantastic. Take 2. I've given
Defect
you 2.
clustering.
Fantastic. Fantastic. 2. Samuel 2. Please don't finish the lollies today. 2. All your names. I know. Don't worry. You get your lollies. Next person.
The pesticide paradox.
Fantastic. Pesticide paradox. Fantastic. That's another 2 lollies. You want to finish my lolly?
Context.
Absence of error fallacy.
Absence of error fallacy. Davis, take 2 lollies. Well done. Dapo, you were saying something. We still have two more. Two more.
Context dependent.
Testing is context dependent. Fantastic. Temitope, take 2. Next person. Last one. Last one.
That's absence of error fallacy.
I think someone has said it. Pesticide paradox, defect costing. Okay. I think that's 7.
Okay, that's 7.
7.
It's not yet.
So we go on the next one. Fundamental test process is 2. 2. Fundamental
cluster.
That's 5.
Nobody mentioned defect.
Yes, we've mentioned it. We've mentioned
So I
that
mentioned defect clustering.
He has mentioned he wants to take the whole suite. Then the lollies. So then fundamental test process. We have 3 of them, true or false.
Oh, there are 5.
False.
Who said 5? Take 5 lollies.
He said 5.
Omi, take 5 lollies. Well done. You know now, those people that are not answering, I have to call their names. So if you want, so you have to answer. It's a must. So number 1, nobody. Temitope, don't talk. Simon, don't talk. Davis, Samuel, I know your names. Don't. If you know you have been talking, don't talk.
Please, I've not gotten enough lollies.
You've not got it. We'll pack it. So don't talk. I want to see other names. But don't see anything.
But you
So
didn't
the
call
5 of them.
talk, please.
Huh?
Can I talk? You didn't call my name. Am I allowed to talk?
Is it not you that have been talking since? You that you have taken off to 20 lollies. You've been talking since. Please, who is it? Let me go to names now. You want me to call your names? I don't know. Toyo. Is he a mentor or what? Emmanuel, can you help us with the fundamental test process? One of it, anyone that you can remember. Emmanuel, there's someone like Wefold, anyone who can help us? KG, I don't know. KG.
Hi.
Yes, can you help me?
Planning and control.
Fantastic, well done. Take 2 lollies.
Thank you.
Jumi, go for it.
Yes, test analysis and design.
Fantastic. So when you guys keep it, you see, fantastic. Take 2 lollies. 2 lollies.
Test
Yes,
implementation and execution.
Fantastic. Toyo, take 2 lollies. I've been waiting for you since. We are the 3rd one, the 4th one now. Who is going for it? Let me see. Did Emmanuel talk? No. Let me see. Bisoye. I think Bisoye has been talking since. Omolara, number 4. Kwazim. Omolara Kwazim. I'm waiting for you. Give me fundamental test process. We've done 3. Is remaining 2. Please help us. That's our last question. Okay, class.
Activities.
Huh?
Test closure activities.
Test closure activities. Fantastic. 4 is remaining the last one. Who gets it takes 5 lollies.
Evaluating exit criteria.
Omolara, take the 5 lollies. You see now, 5 lollies. Take it. Take it.
Thank you.
Well done, class. So that's it for end of today. Any questions now you can ask. Rita, over to you. Thank you all. Any question, you can ask any question now. We are ready to answer you. Any question, even if it's not within testing, you can ask. They are ready to answer. Rita, any question?
Yes, I'm here. Yeah.
Yeah, so in case of any question, we go for it.
Thank you.
Okay. So yes, Emmanuel, go for it.
Yeah, thank you. I just want to ask, I know some people do automation testing, like what I've heard. Can they run it in Jira, like a plugin?
So,
Okay. Do you want me to
want to go
answer?
for it?
Yeah. So basically, you can run your automation on Azure, and that's what we use in Blue Sky. But you'll be taught how to use Jira. Personally, I've not used Jira for automation, but I think with plugins and extensions you can. But in here you'll be taught with Azure. So we use Azure here.
Okay.
And but for automation we use C#. So
Okay.
yeah, for automation we use C#. Azure is mainly for you to write your manual test cases and things like that. And it can be connected. So when you run your test, say for instance, you want to know if you to report that you are doing your manual and automation, you will document it on Azure board. So Azure is your project management tools. So everything that you are doing will be seen on Azure board. I don't know if you may want to throw more light into that, but yeah.
I think you said most of it. So mainly the tools we use here, what she has mentioned, Azure DevOps is where you actually use as mainly your agile tool, recording your test script. Because this session, in this session of internship that you are in, the programming language we'll be using will be C#. So mainly the tools that we're using for automation will be your Visual Studios, some different libraries which have to do and Selenium driver, web driver. You've got your SpecFlow. All those things will be taught during the automation class. But I haven't asked the question of Jira using plugin. Yes, you can use it to run it, but it depends on what is going to be taught in this training. I think mainly what we're going to be doing in this training at what we have. Not sure. You will be taught how to use Jira, but might not be for automation.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Yes, Temitope, go for it if your hands are up. Okay. So, yes, in the absence of no question, I'll say thank you all for tonight's class. Looking forward to meet with the next class. And please go through the videos. If you have any question at any point in time, please reach out to Rita and the team and every one of them. We are all here to help you all. Well done, class. See you in the next class. Good night.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you very much, ma.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.